Dexter said it was me. He said it was all my fault. I did it. And Quinn certainly took him at his word. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment. Today, we're going to be looking at another Dexter theory. This time from Season 5, and it is surrounding the death of Rita, unfortunately, where we see Dexter call it in. He then comes out of the house covered in blood, Harrison in his hands, and he tells the responding officers, "It was me." Everyone's shocked. Deborah's standing there. She's like, "What the hell do you mean by that, Dexter?" And then we see, obviously, Quinn, the other detectives, they're looking at the scene. But a funny line from Masuka saying that he's always dreamt of seeing Rita naked, but not like this. And it wasn't long after getting to the scene, seeing Dexter covered in blood, seeing Rita in the bathtub, seeing Dexter say it was him, then having a conversation with the neighbour Elliot, and then, of course, listening back to the call when Dexter called it in, talking about his wife, talking about where she'd been cut, the artery, etc. Quinn comes to the conclusion that he thinks Dexter did it. He thinks Dexter was the one that killed Rita. He says that if your loved one was dead, if your loved one had just died, your wife, you wouldn't be calling in you wouldn't be calling in the incident like that. He says that he sounded like he was just doing his job, that the person he was reporting on was simply just another random person on a crime scene. And I think that was correct from Quinn. You know, Dexter so calmly reported the death of his wife. He didn't seem upset. He wasn't hysterical. He wasn't anything. He was calm and collected. He was typical Dexter Morgan, which is just fucking weird, because in that position, any normal person would be emotional. They would be heartbroken. They would be upset. They wouldn't maybe be making sense. They would be unable to possibly, give a detailed report on what happened. But not Dexter. He said everything. He was calm, and I think Quinn at that point was probably right to suspect Dexter. And he also says that if Dexter wasn't a member of Miami Homicide, if he wasn't a member of the forensics team, and if he wasn't known to those people as their friends, as their colleague, as Deborah's brother, then they would probably also be looking at the situation, looking at the evidence, and everyone else in the department would probably be thinking that Dexter was the one that did it. And he also had a statistic that I think it was 9 times out of 10, something like that, it's the husband that kills the wife. So when you look at the evidence and when you look at the facts, I think Quinn was certainly right to suspect Dexter of killing Rita. Everyone else kind of, blew him off and says that that's absurd and that he should let it go. And Maria suspended him for a few days, stopped him listening back to the message. Obviously, we know Dexter didn't kill Rita, even though he was involved because of the Trinity Killer, and it was the Trinity Killer who ultimately killed Rita, but that would not have happened if it wasn't for Dexter being who he is and getting involved with the Trinity Killer, having this pretend alias Kel Butler, and then that obviously led to Arthur Mitchell finding out the truth and then taking it out on Dexter Morgan. Unfortunately, it's Rita that has to pay the price. So, yeah, I certainly think that Quinn had a case. I think that he was probably right to suspect Dexter. And it just goes to show that maybe his detective skills are better than he gets credit for, because he knew something was up. This obviously then leads to him getting his own private investigator. He gets Stan Liddy to investigate Dexter, spy on Dexter. We also seen him try to reach out to the Mitchell family. But yeah, Quinn was the only one here that was suspecting Dexter. Is that because he's a better detective? Did he have a hunch? Or is it simply because maybe he wasn't in the homicide department as long as the others, and maybe he wasn't as close to Dexter as some of the other people that were in the group, so therefore he's maybe unbiased and has nothing against suspecting Dexter, whereas Batista and Deborah, they're super close to Dex, and they're probably not going to just accuse him or even think that he is possibly capable of doing something like this. So yeah, it could be that. But I think I think Quinn was right to suspect Dexter, and it kind of proves, because I know Dexter didn't do it, but he was definitely somewhat responsible for Rita's death. So let me know what you guys think down below. We'll catch you in the next one with more Dexter theories to come. So leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and until next time, peace.